So now I want to introduce you to, again, another conception of love. And again, there's no shortage here. And that's what makes the conversation so rich. So, and I like to go back to this. And this echoes themes, again, we see in films all the time. And perhaps have kind of led our own conceptions to think about love in these kinds of ways. But the idea of like a soulmate, right? Do soulmates exist, right? Are they out there, right? What does it mean when you find your soulmate, right? What were the conditions that were set for you to find your soulmate or for you to be shown your soulmate, right? And in a way of thinking about this, and sometimes when there's conversations of soulmates, there's conversations of like divine intervention, right? That there was part of a plan here for you to be shown your soulmate. But I do want to focus here for a second, not necessarily on the religious context, but in the same way of thinking from something that was given by Aristophanes back in ancient Greece. Okay, and you can see that I've got this synced up also in this folder, so feel free to follow along. But again, it's just another way of thinking about and conceiving about perhaps romantic love. Okay, so. In Plato's Symposium, it's this big, event, this big kind of experience where there's a lot of wine drinking. They're talking about love and sex and life. And this character, Aristophanes, kind of gives the following as it relates to love. Okay? Aristophanes professed to open another vein of discourse. He had in mind to praise love in another way, unlike that of either Pausanias or Excommunicus, I can't say Greek names. Okay? Mankind, he said, judging by their neglect of him, have never, as I think, at all understood the power of love. Okay? And so he goes through this example of like how love has come to be. In the first place, let me treat the nature of man as what happened to it. The original human nature was not like the present, but different. The sexes were not two as they are now, but originally three in number. There was man, woman, and the union of the two, of which the name survives but nothing else. Once it was distinct kind, with a bodily shape and name of its own, constituted by the union of male and the female, but now the only word androgynous is preserved, and that as a term of reproach. Okay? Not too interested in that section of text. This third paragraph, though, is where I want to at least start to focus on. In the second place, the primeval man was round, his back and sides forming a circle, and he had 4 hands and the same number of feet, one head with 2 faces, kind of front, back, okay? Of which the name survives but nothing else. Once it was a distinct kind with bodily shape and the name of its own, constituted by the union. Oh, I'm sorry, pardon me. I went back to paragraph. Okay. In the second place, the primeval man was round, his back and side forming a circle, and he had 4 hands, same number of feet, one head with 2 faces, looking opposite ways, set on the round neck and precisely alike. Also 4 ears, 2 privy members, and the remainder to correspond. He would walk upright as men do, backwards and forwards as he pleased, as he could roll over and over at great pace, turning his 4 hands and 4 feet, 8 in all, like tumblers going over and over with their legs in the air. And this was when he wanted to run fast. Okay? So again, strange kind of looking creature, like we're round, we got 4 arms, 4 legs, 4 feet, 4 hands, a front face, back face, 4 ears, 4 eyes, 4 noses, right? So again, real strange looking. And of course these strange looking humans, because this is just the nature of Greek mythology, these strange looking humans, what they decided to do was they were going to overthrow the gods. Okay? They were going to overthrow the gods because that's just always what happened in Greek mythology. Okay? They made their attack upon the gods. Okay? They attempted to scale heaven and would lay their hands upon the god. Doubt reigned in the celestial councils. What should they do about these creatures that are trying to overthrow them? Should they kill them and annihilate their race with thunderbolts as they had done with giants? Then there would be the end of sacrifices and worship of men offered. But on the other hand, the gods could not suffer their insolence to be unrestrained. At last, after a good deal of reflection, Zeus, because Zeus always discovered a way, He said, "Methinks I have a plan which will enfeeble their strength and so extinguish their turbulence. Men shall continue to exist, but I will cut them in two, and they will be diminished in strength and increased in numbers. This will have the advantage of making them more profitable to us. They shall walk upright on two legs, and if they continue insolent and not be quiet, I will split them again, and they shall hop about on one leg." Okay? So again, his plan is that instead of like their great strength of these like round creatures that have 4 arms, 4 legs, he's just going to cut them in half. So everybody's going to be doubled. Right? There's going to be more of these 2-legged creatures and 2 arms, 2 eyes, 1 nose, 2 ears, etc., walking around. But that means that there's more people to worship the gods. Okay? So it's just like this plan works. He spoke and cut men in two, like a sorb apple which halved for pickling, as you might divide an egg with a hair. And as he cut them one after another, he bade Apollo give the face and the half of the neck a turn, in order that the man contemplate the section of himself. So he gave a turn to the face and pulled the skin from all sides, over which language is called the belly, like purses which draw the tight, and he made one a mouth at the center and fastened a knot in the same he called the navel, yada, yada, yada. Now, this paragraph on the back side here that you can see, I've got a couple of parentheticals here. I think this is like the section of text that I find most rewarding. Okay? After the divisions of the 2 parts of man, each desiring his other half, came together and throwing their arms about each other, entwined in mutual embraces, longing to grow into one another, they began to die from hunger and self-neglect because they did not like to do anything apart. And when one of the halves died and the other survived, the survivor sought another mate, man or woman, as we call them, being the sections of entire men or women, and clung to that. Each of us, when separated, having only one side, like a flat fish, but the tally half of man is he's always looking for his other half. Okay? And so then this last kind of paragraph of highlighted text here, and such a nature is prone to love and ready to return love, always embracing that which is akin to him. And when one of them meets his other half, the actual half of himself, whether he be a lover of youth or a lover of sort, the pair are lost in amazement of love and friendship and intimacy, and one will not be out of the other's sight, as I may say, even for a moment. These are the people who pass their whole lives together, and yet they could not explain what they desire of another. For the intense yearning which each of them has towards the other does not appear to be the desire of lovers' intercourse, but something else of which the soul either evidently desires or cannot tell, of which she has only a dark, doubtful presentiment. Presentiment. I don't know what that word is. But essentially what we get here from Aristophanes' kind of, again, anecdote about love is the fact that when we find especially romantic love, and maybe the idea of soulmates, but maybe the idea of just like fully completion, and this mirrors kind of Plato's conception of love as well, that love is when you find something in another that you yourself lack. Okay? And this idea of like puzzle pieces, that, you know, what I offer to a partner and what they offer to me complements each other. Okay? That according to Aristophanes' play here, this idea that ultimately what we see is that we are constantly searching for our other half to become whole, right? That we were doomed to walk this earth always looking for that which kind of makes us back whole together. And I've always found that that kind of like anecdote of love is quite powerful, right? And sure, we'll spend the entirety of our lives, maybe we'll find a handful of people that fill that kind of like, you know, fulfillment and fill that kind of void. But again, the search is part of the process. Okay? And so I hope that gives you, again, kind of other ways of conceiving about love. I'm going to post a couple of other School of Life videos about love, and there's no shortage of those. So if you're finding yourself kind of intrigued by what the School of Life has to do on love, feel free to keep watching. And I hope that, again, this week leaves you thinking about and conceiving of maybe love in new ways, or thinking about, well, what is it? How do I identify it? Where do my ideas about it come from? And feel free to talk about it with your partners if you're in a relationship. I mean, you know, it should be fun. Talk about it. Yeah, I just encourage the continued discover and continued discussions on love abound. So good luck, and you'll see next week where I introduce the videos and what I have to say about them as it relates to our conversations this week. Cheers.